Hi everyone! So today I thought I'll show you how to create Christmas cards, and these are quite quick and really fun to create, especially if you love watercolor. I think you really will enjoy this project. Before I start, I was just going to say it is 1:30 here and it's a very gloomy, dark day, and I finally went ahead and ordered the lights yesterday, the studio lights, just because it's becoming impossible for me to film. And so hopefully that will help with the lighting. Alright, so let me first tell you what you will need for this project so you can get your desk ready and create together with me. So let's start with paper. Now for the paper I recommend something which is more on a hot pressed surface. So I'm using the Winsor Newton hot press watercolor paper. This is the 300 GSM, I believe. Yes, it is. And it's got just a tiny little bit of texture, so you can see it's not silky, kind of smooth or flat, and I like it, but I don't seem to get on with this paper for a lot of other things, but for this purpose it works really well. So what I've done here, so this is a block. So I've taken a sheet of paper off, and then because it's a block and it has this kind of glue running all the way around it, I had then to trim it. Once I have cut the papers into halves, I trimmed one of them to cut off these black lines. As you can see, you don't want your cards to look like that. And also you will have to cut it to the size that you are creating the cards. Now this was the original size, so just in half, and then just tiny little bit around it just to cut off the sides. However, or the edges rather. However, because I am presenting my cards in these clear plastic card bags, so this is the A6 cards, 120 by 167 millimeters, so 12 centimeters by 16.7 centimeters, and that means I had to cut them just a little bit more to fit in. But it depends again what envelopes you use, so just keep that in mind. So that's that. The next thing you will need is a metallic or specifically gold watercolor of your choice. I'm going to use my current favorite, which is the Mozart Komorebi classic metallic set, and it's this shade here that I absolutely love. So let me see, it's the yellow gold. So we're going to use that for accents, which I will show you in a minute. And the next thing you'll need is a clear stamp set. Now I got these from Tesco the other day because actually these cards are made for my son's nursery, for his key workers and a couple of the ladies, and then a few children in his group. Thank you, Mason. And so when I was in Tesco, I went to the magazines aisle, and then there were these couple of the craft magazines. So this is one of the magazines is called Crafts Beautiful, and it's a Christmas edition. And then there is also the Stamped. Now the Stamped was £9.99, so quite costly, but it had two. So I think it had, let me see, if I'm not mistaken, it had these two in there. So it had the flowers, so a whole sheet, like A4 sheet full of these beautiful floral clear stamps, and it also had these kind of you could use it for spring or you could use it for winter as well, so it does have some lovely wintry kind of elements to it as well. And yeah, so that was £10, and the other magazine was £5.99, I think, and it had these very Christmassy kind of images to stamp with. So I thought that was a fantastic idea. So basically for 15 quid I got 3 A4 sheets worth of stamps, which you can create a huge range of different images. So have a look in your supermarket or wherever you buy your magazines. Then you will also need obviously some watercolors of your choice. I'm going to use one of the 2 palettes here, which are both the palettes are always linked in my description. These are the colors I put together myself, so I might use one of those. To go with the watercolors, you will need a flat brush, so to create these kind of this sort of look of a wash of watercolor, you need a flat brush. So I'm using a Princeton Heritage, I believe, and this is the wash brush 1 or half an inch, I think it's called, the size is. And then I'm going to use a 2-0, so a very fine brush, and that will be for the gold watercolor elements. The next thing you will need, obviously, for stamping, you will need ink pad. So I'm going to use black ink. You can use, if you prefer other colors, you can choose that, but I personally love this look of a black kind of image stamped on colorful background. So that's the style that I will be showing you today. And you will also need obviously an acrylic block, and I like using this one from Altenew. It's a set I got a few years back, and it's gorgeously made. It feels beautiful when you're holding and working with it. So I love the fact that it comes in 4 different sizes, and this little one is very handy when it comes to small elements like this one. So you will see me use it. The final thing which you will need is some sort of what you potentially, if you don't have it, you don't need to run out and buy it. I suppose you could just work with metallic watercolors and use your brush to do splatters. However, I have these lovely Heidi Swapp color shines, and I got two or three, might have been actually, yeah, 3 mini sets, and they come in a lovely variety of colors. So they're basically these sprays, and they have the shimmer particles settling at the bottom. So, and there's a metal ball in there, so you need to give it a good shake, and then once you start hearing the ball, it means that the metallic mica shimmers have mixed well, and so that's how you can use it. Now I hardly ever use it as a spray because it will give you a defined kind of round spray mark, but what I do is I unscrew the top and then use it like that as a splatter. So you can see there's a little bit of clogging going on at the bottom right there. So that's how I use my splattering, and it works beautifully. I actually ordered a couple more from American Crafts, like a minty color and the white from Heidi Swapp, a big bottle, because I think those splatters look gorgeous. So that's what we're going to be using. Now, just to show you quickly what I've done. So I've got 2 cards which I started off with, and they're a little bit more, well, they're more classic, I would say. And these are these 2. And something as this looks super kind of beautiful, and it looks like so much work went into it. But in fact, if you can find a stamp set which has something like this in there, then really there is quite minimal work that goes into it, but makes it look very pretty. So what I've done here is I just used that stamp by itself, and then I have used the Walking in a Winter Wonderland stamp just to kind of put it above, and then created the gold elements on the reindeers, so that's literally it. Then with the later ones, there is some more experimentation, like a bit, you know, a few more snowflakes, and here I actually put some Christmas ornaments on the horns here. I'm not sure they're called horns actually, I think there's a different name for it. And then also stamped a variety of pine tree elements right here to kind of make the reindeer sort of stand on something. So that's that. Now the other ones I prefer more because they're more cute and I think quite original. So I've taken animal stamps. So here's a penguin, an owl, there's a little like a baby sheep I think, and a rabbit. So you can take any of your choice. And then I have decided to create beautiful nests of flowers. So I would pick different leaves and flower stems and just layer them and move them around to make them look, for example, this one is the same one and this one is the same one. Just move them around to create a feel of a different angle, so it makes you think it's a different stamp, so it doesn't look exactly the same. Same thing with the flowers. Then same thing here, and I also added a little succulent on the head, which I think looks really super cute on the penguin. This is probably my favorite one. This is going to the girl that Mason I think has a little crush on at his nursery, so Mama tried extra hard to make a super pretty one. So this is a little owl, and I put a flower stamp and gave her a kind of like a rose base to sit on. And as you notice as well, I gave all of them gold eyes, so that looks quite pretty. And finally this one is a little bit more dramatic, but I think it looks very, very pretty. It looks like it comes from a vintage book or something. So again, using stamps on the head as well, and that is what I'm going to show you today, how I'm going to create this. So I'm going to do just one and you will get the idea of how to do the rest. So in most of the cases I have used 2 watercolors just to break it down a little bit. And yeah, so everywhere here are 2 watercolors. So let's start, and I think I will do a voiceover so that I can explain to you as we go. Alright, so I am starting firstly with the watercolor wash, as I explained before. So here I'm using the Lavender by Daniel Smith and mixing it up very, very watery and pale, and then I'm also using the Moonglow and just dabbing it in certain areas, and then just kind of, you know, being free with the brush and adding some of those colors more and building it up a little bit more, and also just adding some droplets of water with the brush, clean brush, and that's the result that I get. So it is important to dry it. So if you don't have a dryer, like a crafts dryer, then just leave your project to dry for a little bit or use a hair dryer. But it is important that before you move on to the second step of the project, you have completely dried watercolors. So now I'm picking different clear stamps, and I am picking the subject matter, which is the owl, and loads of different floral elements. So I grabbed 2 sizes of the acrylic blocks from the Altenew, which I really like that small one. It's so convenient, the one that's above the card. So here's the pressed owl. Very easy to do. Once you find cute little stamps, it's like a bug bites you and you want to do more and more. I got into stamping last year and then kind of stopped it for a little bit, and I am so back into it right now. So I'm using that little stamp that I was just, sorry, the acrylic block that I was just mentioning, and it's great for little details like that because you're literally just picking up a little floral element, and you know, you don't need a large block for that. So I went back and I got that additional little kind of, it's a full-on black ink, or not black ink, but you obviously can use any type of ink, but it's some of the ink stamps are sort of outlines and others are filled in. So this is a filled in and it's quite cute. Again, you can build it up to different shapes. Now I'm using these floral stamps which look rather beautiful in sort of an unusual angle, which makes them look a little bit more like branches put together, like a bouquet of branches, and so the owl is then sitting on top of them. It is very pretty and you could leave it at that, but because I'm trying to create a more Christmas feel to the card, I'm also using these pine tree branches as well. It's like a Christmas tree branch. And then I thought I wanted to just add a little bit of something else, and then that last stamp went onto the right side, just so it's not completely repeated. Now I'm grabbing the Komorebi metallic, the classic metallic watercolor set, which I have mentioned so many times now, and a lot of you actually commented back that you went and you purchased them and you really love it, so I'm really happy that I could share my love. So the color I'm using there is, let me just quickly, it's the yellow gold, and I basically used that fine tip, the 2-0 brush, to apply it into the eye area. And now I'm going in for that final step, which is what I personally think kind of makes the card a little bit more finished and gives it that little edge, is the splatters. So I'm using the Heidi Swapp Color Shine splatters. The first one I went in was the color Coral. It's a very pretty kind of subtle color. And they are shimmery, so as you will see here at the bottom, the shimmers settle, and then you need to give them a good shake until you hear the metal ball starts to bounce in the bottle. And I'm using the second color, which is the Amethyst. I will leave all the links below for you, and that's a lovely color, kind of like a purpley metallic color as well. And yeah, I find that the two colors together, as well as the watercolors, work really beautifully. And look at that gorgeous splatter. I love these splatters. I watch Vilna Furstenberg and I just love how she does these splatters. I need to exercise a little bit more, but yeah, big splatters all the way. So I'm just drying it and it is finished. Alright, so here is the finished card. As you could see, it was super easy. The splatters came out quite well. I particularly wanted like a big one in this area, but I didn't anticipate it to be that big, which is very hard for me to usually get these kind of splatters, which I really love. So it was a spontaneous big splatter, which I love. But you can make as many or as little as you want. That is totally up to you. So you can see the watercolor come through. It depends what type of watercolor you'll use. I used the Daniel Smith Lavender, which is a little bit more on the opaque side. So be wary of that it could look a little bit chalky if you make it quite intense, like with a lot of pigment, but if you dilute it with a lot of water, it should be okay. It just has these little areas here of the color. And then I also added the Moonglow in some areas as well, just to break it down a little bit, and then you could see the effect of that. So the main thing to really say is that I think you know, someone would absolutely love this type of Christmas card for Christmas, because it's quite original and you can you know, create a big variety of them. Mason is quite bored because he's been for a whole week at home. He had a flu and ear infection, so that's been loads of fun. But anyway, we've been busy. We did some baking, teddy bear cookies, and then what did we do? We set up the Christmas tree yesterday, and we've done the Christmas cards for his nursery. So yeah, by the way, it's so fun and simple to make that I've done all those Christmas cards that I've shown you with him on my lap. He absolutely loved pressing the stamps onto the paper. He loved the watercoloring. Actually, let me just grab them. Where did they go? So yeah, on all of these, he's done the backgrounds with the brushes. I helped him a little bit, but mostly he's been really sort of active and helping me doing these cards. So that was super fun. So if you want to do it with a child, it's a really not difficult thing to do at all. So I actually quite like this one. I see if I can find a frame to stick it into. So it's a gorgeous, super pretty owl. I think adding flowers to heads, to like birds or any animals heads looks really cute. And actually never was into animal or bird stamps before, but there's just something clicked. This I was gonna say Christmas. It's almost Christmas. In my head it is Christmas. I'm watching Kirsty's Christmas, you know, that program on Channel 4. I love it. As soon as it starts running, that's it. Christmas has begun for me, because there's so many crafty projects, and it kind of inspires me to get busy in my studio as well. So there you go. I really hope you have a go at these. What I will do for Mason's cards here, I will put I'll stamp the children's names, so the child that it's going to over here, and I think that will be so cute. So they, you know, they could even keep it in their room like that, and I think it would look really pretty. I hope this girl will like it. But yeah, so that's what I've done here. And the final thing to say is, obviously you can then put a little note, you know, Happy Christmas or Merry Christmas or whatever you want to say at the back, because it's in a transparent envelope, so you can read it at the back and you don't need to take it out, because in essence it is a little piece of art that comes from the heart. So, you know, it's great to display, and it's great to get busy in your craft room. So thanks for watching. I hope you've really enjoyed this one, and see you soon.